So if we look at the setup to start with, just look at the shaft in between kind of your legs and so on there, where you were on this left as everything's sort of like leaning forward, your left shoulder now kind of over your foot there a little bit more, whereas this one's sort of very much sort of sticking out there and so on. So just getting that sort of just slightly tilted. And if we think about it in kind of a sort of logical sense, the fact your right hand's lower than your left hand, your shoulders and hips should all sort of match up to that. Otherwise you've got to push your hands forward or your shoulders forward to try and adjust to the club. Okay, so just getting a little bit more kind of neutral, slight tilt, hands down there, and a more neutral setup is going to help. Okay, now in terms of the backswing, as we said, your backswing was big and a long way. I mean, again, 118 degree shoulder turn there, which the fact you can get there is impressive. It's a little bit of a bending arm, which has helped, obviously. Okay, you're losing sight of the golf ball with your head there. It's just not much control there. And like I say, once you're going to go beyond there, you're not really getting much more power. You're almost just collapsing your arm down, losing power, or losing control.
Should that left arm feel like straight the whole way through?
Well, I wouldn't say straight, but that's your backswing now. Just looks under more control. You made a nice shoulder turn. Your head sort of looking at the ball a little bit more. Exactly, yeah. And even that feels short and compact. It's still quite a long backswing relative to what a full swing would be. Okay. The trick is now you've got a finish line here from your left foot vertically upwards. Okay. I want your hips to move towards that line as your head stays behind, and then your hands to kind of get into that. We're not twisting the hips. There's a sort of distinct movement that way before they turn around, okay? As you would if you were sort of skimming a pebble, you'd be here, you're sort of moving and just this way. You wouldn't go and skim a pebble that way. Your hips need to go forward before they go round, okay? So as we start coming back down, a bit long actually, as we start coming down, hips move in there, head staying back nicely. Impact now, starting to sort of cast the club a bit there, so the club's kind of caught up now. There's impact, there's the ball, okay? So we're kind of getting to that kind of 12 o'clock-ish nearly, okay, whereas before and so on, there's the ball and there's your hands, okay, so it's a bit back slightly, okay, we want to get those hands a bit more towards that left side, so it's a warm-up movement, okay, hit some shots where you just feel like your hands are kind of almost there at impact, almost like a crickety forward defensive shot where they keep the ball flat down. It's not kind of out this way, it's that way towards the target, okay? And if your lower half works better, you'll certainly be able to get into that position, okay? Your hands can sort of square the club face up better and get yourself in just a general better hit position, okay? As I say, that drill we said about doing up against the wall there, if you stand up against the wall here, do this at home if you wanted to, or on the range before you warm up and so on. So you go from here, normal setup, with no club. You could put a club in your hand if you wanted to, but all you're doing now is putting that hip against the wall, hand against the wall with the head staying there, and the club staying there. So the club head and your head stay there. You just do this. Move your hips into the wall there, okay? If you twist your hips there, Liam, this hip now is going to go backwards, which means the right hip, okay? This right hip, this right shoulder is going to go forwards. You come into the golf ball with your right hip and shoulder going towards the ball. You've lost the space. There's only one part of the club you're going to strike, and then you've got to try and pull your arms in the last second to hopefully save it, or just kind of, as you say, manipulate something to try and hit the golf club back to the goal. It's just too much. Too many things that could go wrong. And when you play quite regularly, pre-pandemic, you were kind of comfortable with the club and you kind of knew where you'd go and you could play around with it. 18 months goes by, you don't play as much as you wanted to, and you come out, where's that club doing? And a few unmentionables creep in there. You're like, oh, cricket, what's happened now? Just almost a shock. It's like, oh, Christ, what's happened now? And the hardest shot in golf is the one that follows a shanks. You hit a shank, the next shot is definitely the hardest shot you're going to play, because like, oh my God, where am I going to go now? And if you're playing where you're on, even you had some of the shots there that were good shots, but they were close. And if you're playing sort of millimetres to centimetres from the old hosel, it's just bringing a lot of risk into play that could result in one of those, unfortunately. So, yeah, better setup, feeling a little bit more kind of just behind it, arms hanging down, getting a good turn, move into it, okay? Move into it, hands and arms move in this direction. We don't want to see this and that, because you can see my arm like they're just going way over the top and across it. So, does that make sense, sir?
Sounds good.
Good. So you work on, like I say, when you're down the range, send videos from that direction, okay? Right. Send them through to me, email me on WhatsApp, and we'll message you whatever you want to do, whatever media platform you want to use. I've got multiple.
Are you going to send us a note later on?
I will send this through to you. This video now recorded, I'll send it through to you. So you'll have all these images here, okay, about the sort of setup, the good quality backs you want to try and get into, okay, the better spine angle, and then the downswing feeling of being more, as we said, in there rather than back there. Okay, mate?
Yeah. Could you, when you